To create a new document in Animate, click on Action Script 3.0 right here. And let's say we're going to change the size of our stage. So over here on the Properties panel, you get your height, your width, your height, and stage color. Now, let's say that we've been drawing something and we've been using a different tool. So all of a sudden you won't see the stage or the height and the width. So it depends, what's showing on the Properties panel depends on what tool you have showing. If you want to get back to stage width and height, just click with your selection tool, this very first one here, right on the stage or right on the workspace, and then this comes right back. So if we want to change the size of the stage from 550 to 750, then it'd be 750 by 450. The first thing that we're going to do is to work with a few of these tools. Let's go ahead and click the line tool. So we'll call this very first layer I. And we've got the line tool here. So once I click on the line tool, I will drag and draw a line. So once in a while we didn't see any of the features, and that's going to happen until you draw the line. So let's Control Z. We have the line tool, and now we've got all the information we need for the line. So there is no fill on a line. So let's go ahead and we're going to change the stroke to about a 4. And you'll notice the style. We can choose anything from a dashed, a stipple, a ragged, solid. So let's just go ahead and draw a solid line, and we'll change the width of that line to 4. So let's go ahead and we're going to click on our line tool, and choose your colors. Color, let's just go ahead and make our color a black line. We're going to draw an eye basically. So I'm going to draw one line here, and if you're not drawing the color that you think you should because we chose black, look up here at the alpha. So once I choose my colors, your alpha is your opacity. So mine's at sitting at 50%. So let's go ahead and change it to 100. And then I'll Control Z. That works the same as it does in Photoshop. And we'll click on black. So I'm going to drag a line, and then of course I'm going to drag another line. Now if we wanted our lines to be exactly the same, let's go ahead and Control Z. Then all I would need to do is click on my selection tool, this very first one. I'm going to drag a selection around it, and I'm going down to hold down my Alt key, don't let go, and then press down on your mouse. So this is the same just like it is in Photoshop. And let's put it about right there. That way you know they're exactly the same height. Now, there is a difference on the line tool. So I'm going to show you right now. So let's click back on the line. And we're going to use some space right up here. So on the line tool, if I want these, I'm going to move my history here. If I want a rounded line, this is our rounded line. So you can see that as I drove the first one, if I Control plus, you've got the rounded edges. Now let's go ahead and we'll make a point. Let's go ahead and change this to 8, your stroke. If I had chosen the rounded, you can see where it's a rounded now. Now let's say that I had chosen none. I didn't want a rounded and miter, so it's none and miter. So when I click down, you can tell the difference. So we're going to go back up here to our eye, and what I want to do is click on the selection tool, and this is also our move tool. And you see, if I move my mouse on it, I'm not selecting the line, I'm just moving my mouse by it. I get that little smiley, okay, like a smiley face or a smiley smile. And then all I'm going to do is I can curve up. And that's how I can curve a line. Over here, I can click down and I can curve the line. So now let's go ahead and press the letter V on the keyboard because that's the shortcut for that V. And let's go ahead and use our arrow keys. So we'll click on the line and then we'll just use your arrow keys to nudge it back up there. So I'm just using my up arrow to nudge up. Okay, now I want these corners to meet. So if I move my mouse and I get the backward L, I'm just going to click up and drag. Click up and drag. And you can click on the other one and you can drag it down so they meet. So over on this one, it's the backward L. I'm clicking up until they meet. Now, if I don't feel like I've got quite as much of a curve, then I can just move my mouse while it's on the selection until I get that little smiley, and I can just kind of fix it. Okay, so now let's go ahead down here at the very bottom where the timeline tab is. If I go down to the bottom, that's create a new layer. So we'll create a new layer, and I'm going to call this pupil. And on my new layer, we're going to get in the habit of locking the layers that we're not using. So we're going to lock the eye, and I'm going to go over to the pupil, and then I'm going to get an oval, and I don't need a stroke, so I'll put null or no stroke. That's this one. And you can choose whatever color you want for your eye. So I'll just choose a brown one. And if you hold down your shift key, you get a perfect circle. So there you go. Now every eye has a little bit of a gleam to it. So if I wanted to, then what I can do is I'm going to get another new layer, and I can just call this gleam if I choose to. And so then I've got my oval already. And then I'm going to click on the stage, click my oval, and then all of a sudden I'm going to choose a little bit of a gray, I guess. I'm going to make it just a little bit. So I can click in here, and I want it to have a little bit of a gleam. So I don't want it pure white, but just so that it's got a little gleam. And then same thing, I can hold my shift key down, and I can drag an oval. Now, if I press my selection button, the letter V or this selection tool, I'm going to press the letter V though, click on it to select it, it's telling me my width and height here. So when you get such a small size, instead of trying to drag a handle, we can change it right here. So let's say instead of 12, let's say I wanted 8, and 8 here. And then of course you can move it around wherever you wanted the gleam. If you felt it was too small, go ahead. Maybe you wanted it 10. So then it can change there. So now let's go ahead and we're going to grab a new layer. So click a new layer here. Let's go grab our line tool. And up here we're going to make some lash lines. And so I'm going to have black. There's only a stroke, and we need to change our stroke width to about a 3. Okay, and let's give us some rounded. So I'm going to go, we'll just make a few. So you go ahead and make a few. And then we're going to fix them here shortly. Okay, so now we're going to click the letter V on the keyboard or the selection tool, and we want to kind of curve them, right? Hopefully I'm curving the right way. I'm not a drawer. So we want the, we're really looking for the little smiley. And I drew it so small that it's hard to get that, so I'll do this, and then I can get a smiley. So you can't select it, you just move your mouse on it, and if you drag up, that means you're going to make it a little bit bigger. Now that I have the curve, and so you can see how I can kind of adjust it. Just like so. And now all of a sudden we've got some eyelashes. So what I've done is, if I lock them all, I can't do anything with any of them. If I use this down here at the bottom of the timeline, the visibility, that means everything's hidden. So this is my visibility. I can turn on the visibility, whatever it is that I want. And I can unlock them all at once and just lock whatever I need. So we've made an eye here. And what we're going to do next is we're going to put it all together. So you're going to find that it's easier to create things on different layers. Sometimes you might feel like it's a hassle, but it sure does leave you a lot of room if you have to move something, because then it's easier. You can just hide a layer and move whatever it is you want, or fix whatever it is you want. So now what we're going to do is we're going to press the letter V, or you need your selection tool. We're going to highlight all of it. Okay, because we want to highlight the entire thing. Now, it's not going to highlight unless you unlock everything. So let's click over here on the lock, and we're going to unlock it, and then we're going to highlight everything. And you can tell by all the little dots here that everything's highlighted. Let's try it again. I'm going to go do this. Modify, group. And there I can hide it all just at once, okay? Now, if I want to make sure that I have a symbol, then what I'm going to do is, and that I don't lose this, is I can convert it to a symbol. So to convert to a symbol means that I'm going to highlight everything once again. In the middle, I will right-click, convert to symbol, and then we always name them. So let's go ahead and name this eye. You have three choices. It can either be a movie clip, a button, or a graphic. Well, we just want it to be a picture, so we're going to call it a graphic, and let's click OK. And now if we go look at our library panel, because this is where we keep all of our graphics, that is the symbol for graphic, and there's our eye. Here's what I'm going to do. So let's click on it. You can tell it's selected. Let's press the delete key on the keyboard. It's gone. Now, I'm going to click on my eye, and I'm going to drag it over, and there it is. So it's not gone. We created it, and now it's in our assets to use all the time. And I don't have to worry about all these itty-bitty little layers, because I can actually delete every single one of these. Okay? So we're going to right-click, delete layer. Right-click, delete layer. Right-click, delete layer. Okay? And we can just call this layer 1 again. And if I chose to, I can move it onto that layer. So let's Control Z, and we've got our graphic symbol.